Washington, it seems, is preparing for a war in Eastern Europe. The White House sending lethal aid, a lot of it, to Ukraine all of a sudden. The Pentagon with 8,500 troops who are now on high alert, American troops, saying Russia at this point seems to have no intention of de-escalating the situation. Today, the president seemed in no mood to talk about it.
I had a very, very, very good meeting, total unanimity with all the European leaders. We'll talk about it later. Thank you.
Well, we'll see about the unanimity part of that. So what will the White House do here? Any kind of conflict over Ukraine will no doubt be incredibly unpopular in this country. Though there are pundits out there that are saying that it would make the perfect distraction for a White House that has just suffered through a disastrous first year. As far as our allies are concerned and all that unanimity, Europe's biggest player, Germany, wants nothing to do with this whole situation. That's a problem. This is a nightmare for Germany because it was all so predictable. Of course, they fought for a long time to get a nice pipeline with Russia and all of its oil and gas. We all understood, the rest of the world understood, the vulnerability of letting Russia have that much control over Germany and the EU. But it was all ignored because cheap energy sounded so good to an increasingly liberal country that wants to virtue signal on climate change the way Germany does. Remember, it's okay to burn fossil fuels as long as you don't drill for them yourself. Just ask the Biden White House. They're kings of that game. Phasing out nuclear power in Germany and more recent moves to cut reliance on coal has left the Germans totally reliant on Russian fuel. Not just for heating in a cold winter like this, but also power generation. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline is going to be fueling Germany for a long time. And so now it's really hard to get tough when Russia does something like this. And notice just how fast it happened. I mean, how perfect it all was. Russia's winning. Here's former President Trump at the NATO summit in London in 2018. Trump was hated at events like this by people that attend events like this because Trump spoke truth to his delusional left-wing European counterparts.
I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened.
3.5 years ago. For 4 years, Trump sat in office and Russia was on its best behavior, let's be honest. And yet the media and the left told you that Trump was Russia's puppy. And now we learn just how ridiculous all that speculation was yet again. In reality, Vladimir Putin probably couldn't wait to get Trump out of the White House so he could restart the mission that he started under Obama, expanding his empire. Let's go back a couple of years. Here was Biden. This is how Biden got into the White House, making promises, making hilarious promises, so pathetic, just like this one. Listen to this and try not to laugh.
Because Putin knows if I am president of the United States, his days of tyranny and trying to intimidate the United States and those in Eastern Europe are over. We need someone to take office this time around who on day one can stand on the world stage, command the respect of world leaders from Putin to our allies,